Hello and welcome to this little video on mimics. So here we have the first mimic completed. Very fun model to paint up, and some of you are probably wondering, of course, what's with all the blood? Well, that's blood for the blood god from Games Workshop, so from GW. So this is mostly done with contrast paints. And I'm going to quickly go over some of the paints. So with this little guy, all the metal, you'll see the gray metal on there. That is done with Lead Belcher from GW. The other metal, which is the gold, that's done with Retributor Armor. And then all that I did with the metals was just apply Null Oil. And of course, with the gold itself, I put on a bit of Reichland Flesh Shade. So that's all the metals. It's pretty quick. Now with the chest itself, so this brown, this nice little brown that we get going here, that one is done with Dark Oath Flesh, which is a contrast paint. I did 2 coats of that and then went into the little recesses with a bit of Null Oil, and that made it pop. So that's the chest, the boring part. And then if we move on to his little top piece here, so I covered the whole thing, the purple section, and Magos purple. Let's see if we can get the focus in, Magos purple. And then right after that, I went in some of the recesses here with, where it's a bit darker, with Shivish purple. And I went in a little bit with some Null Oil, just to pop up some areas. Now the eyes were a lot of fun. So with this one here, I used, of course, just this whole model was base coated white. I used Yandin yellow contrast paint. And then that kind of made it all completely yellow. So then I went into the recesses with Gryph-hound orange, which is also another contrast paint. Then did a little bit of Null Oil around the eye sockets. Went back in with some Corax white, so the GW white paint, and then just slightly went over it with a little bit more Yandin, and then just did a tiny little highlight of Corax white, which is kind of hard to see. For the teeth, just Corax white, a little bit of Null Oil in the recesses, and then you can see his underjaw as well. And for the side part here, so the jaw muscles, we could say, in there, that's Flesh Terrors contrast. Same with most of the tongue. And then it's hard to tell now, but before I had a really nice blend going from Flesh Terrors to Blood Angels. Red in terms of transition, and it looked really good. But Blood for the Blood God kind of took over and made everything real shiny and kind of lost the blend a little bit, but you can still tell there's a bit of a difference between his tongue on the inside and of course the tongue on the outside. There you go, there's a good shot of that transition. So again, I really applied Blood for the Blood God quite a bit here, maybe a little too much, but I went back over with a little bit of Corax white on his teeth just to poke them out a little bit more on the top. And again, I left more of the Blood for the Blood God in the recesses of the teeth and in the recesses of the tongue, for instance. So that's where I kind of went heavy with that. And now the base was simply Mechanicus standard gray, and then dry brush of celestial gray, but first I did a Null Oil wash. So that's usually what I do with most of my rocky bases. It's a very simple thing. And underneath I went kind of heavy with a bit of Null Oil there just to again make it a little bit darker. And the tongue, the little taste buds on the tongue, those were just a little couple dollops of white, Corax white. Same here on the tip of the tongue. And then I just went over it with a little bit of, I think it was Voluptuous Pink. Yep, with Voluptuous Pink. And there you go. There's a mimic all ready to go to start munching on the ankles and whatever appendages of your adventurers. So this is the first one here. I have the barrel one to do next, and I'm looking forward to working on that. So hopefully this inspired you to get some D&D minis done. Until next time, happy hobbying.